Hey girl, I want to tell you something. I want to talk about something that I've been hearing a lot lately. People keep telling me that their brain keeps replaying the last day over and over and over again. Many grieving people tell me the same thing. They can't stop replaying the day that their person died, the day that they got the call, the moment they got the phone call, the time when they drove to the hospital, when the doctor walked through the room and the chaplain was with him, the last words they heard. Even years later, these moments can still feel clear and vivid. Some people start thinking something's wrong with them. They think they should be able to move on from these memories, but there's a reason their brain does this. Their brain is not trying to hurt them and it's not trying to jack them up. It's trying to understand what happened. Here's the deal. Every time you have a thought in your brain, you have an emotion in the heart. Every time you have an emotion in the heart, a grieving emotion, most times those grieving emotions feel painful. And because the brain keeps playing the story on repeat, it is constantly sending painful emotions to the heart. The brain will replay traumatic moments because the heart won't let it in. It is in too much pain. When something shocking happens, the brain goes onto high alert. So does the nervous system. This response is connecting the body to the stress system. It happens to everyone. Some of us feel this boost of adrenaline and we start running around. Some of us feel the urge to go to sleep. Some of us feel the urge to have sex. Some of us feel the urge to want a hug. Whatever urge you feel is exactly what you're supposed to feel. During sudden loss, the brain releases stress hormones, adrenaline, and cortisol. These chemicals increase the attention and the memory formation because the brain is trying to record important information. In some of my life altering situations, I can remember looking at my watch to see what day it was and memorize the date. I can remember looking at my phone to see what time it was and memorize the time. My brain is on such high alert, I'm trying to record things. Researchers have studied trauma and memory and have found that emotional intensity of these events are often stored more vividly than ordinary experiences. To this day, I can still tell you things about Austin and Donovan. I can tell you little stupid things, where I was standing, where I was when the phone call came, what other people were wearing. The brain treats the moment of loss as extremely important. It treats it as it is really important. It records details very clearly. This is why we remember small things, like the sound of the phone ringing, the exact words someone said, how slow they were talking. We remember what time it was. We remember the date. We remember smells. We remember sounds, the sound of the ambulance. The brain stores these details because it's trying to make sense of the major event. Your brain did this on purpose, not to hurt you. The brain is trying to build up the story around what has just happened. Another reason that the mind keeps replaying these moments of loss is because the brain is trying to build a, a coherent story for you. It is also in shock and disbelief that this has even happened. Sometimes the brain is doing this because it can't believe that your person is gone. When something happens suddenly and fast, traumatically, the experience often feels incomplete or it feels not real. I can't believe this has happened to me. I can't believe this has happened. I can't believe. That's why when we talk about the 5 stages of grief, and there's the one in there called disbelief, people really believe they have the 5 stages because of that. The brain starts asking questions like, what the hell just happened? How did this happen? Why? Why? How could this have been different? Psychologists sometimes refer to this as the brain trying to process and integrate the event into the memory. It just won't go in there. It just won't stay in there. And until the brain feels safe and feels like it understands every little aspect of the event, it will continue to revisit that moment. It will continue to revisit that moment. When I tell you that for 1 year, Erica and I talked about her finding out about Austin for almost 1 year every single day, I'm not even exaggerating. I could have called her and talked about a grocery list. But once we started talking, it always went back to the same thing. Next to losing Austin, it was the most amazing experience in my life because I felt like my grief was also being held, even though I wasn't calling it grief. Being inside her grief helped me to understand it. Listening to her talk about it, and then we just kept trying to we were detectives. Look, girl, we was detectives. Until the brain feels like it understands the event, it will continue to revisit those moments over and over and over again. Didn't matter what we were talking about, she kept going back to Austin. And that replay was an attempt of her brain trying to organize the experience. I want to tell you something else. Talking about the story is just talking about the story. It's not grieving. It's only talking about the story. But certain moments of that story become the center of the grief. How someone's face looked, how they responded, how the chaplain walked into the room. Getting to the hospital and noticing that other people were already there first. Those moments become the center of your grief. Here's the other thing I think. I think your brain remembers everything that was going through it at that moment. Before that moment, life felt normal. It felt safe. It felt okay. After that moment, everything was different. The brain naturally returns to the turning points like that. It goes back and goes back and goes back. It's trying to understand the moment where your whole entire world shifted. Why does talking about the story help? When people keep the story of loss inside their head and their brain, and they keep replaying it privately, it gets stuck in there and it keeps playing it on repeat. But when someone talks about the experience out loud, the brain begins to organize the memory differently. They break things down. They understand why they did certain things. Speaking the story allows their mind a place for the event. It starts to become this narrative of their life. They can narrate the story from that aspect. It helps with the healing. A lot of grievers that are telling me they have guilt or feel bad that they didn't do certain things, they find the answers within that story. You find the answers within that story. Research on trauma processing suggests that describing difficult experiences can help the brain integrate the memory rather than leaving it fragmented. I don't know what happened there. I'm not sure what happened. You're not going to be able to just leave it like that. You've got to fill in something. There's something else. There's parts of Erica's story that I've never changed but weren't exactly true. She filled in the blank. She filled in the blank of certain parts of her story, and I've never changed those from her. There's parts of the story that are true that she's never even experienced. News articles, photos, to this day, 20 years later, she's never seen them. Grievers have choices and they get to make decisions. And everyone thinks they need to see the coroner's report, but you don't. You don't need to see the coroner's report to fill in the blank because it's not going to erase your grief. It can actually add to it. You get to decide whether you need to see that or not. But it can reduce the intensity of the mental replay if you do need to see it. Here's what many grievers need to hear. If your mind keeps returning to the moment that your person died, you're not broken. If your brain keeps returning to the moment that your person died, you are not broken. It is simply returning to the moment. You're returning to the moment. Your brain is trying to understand what life-altering event has just happened. How come you have this life-changing event? Why the brain is trying to break it down. Your loss disrupts your brain's expectations of how your life is supposed to unfold, how it's supposed to go. The mind returns to those moments of loss because it represents the point where everything shifted for you. Understanding all of this can remove some of the fear from you. Grief can feel very fearful. When we understand exactly what happens and we break it down in our brain, it can help us understand these shifts. Understanding can remove some of the fear that we feel and that we own about our thoughts. This replaying it over and over again is not you failing at grief. It's the part of your brain trying to process something that has happened. Grief changes how the mind and body experience the world. Grief changes how the mind and body experience the world. Memories of the day that someone died can feel vivid for a very long time. For a very long time. That happens because your brain recorded the event deeply as important. This is important. I got to record this. I got to save this. Over time, as the loss becomes integrated into your life, as you're able to talk about it more, the memories often soften. They're always remembered. You will never forget them. But the pain to them is softened. But they don't always replay this with the same intensity. I want you to understand this, my friend. Your brain is doing what it's supposed to do because it thinks it's helping you. And it realizes that something important has happened. But it also can help, by helping you, can also prolong what's going on. Your mind is not working against you. It's trying to make sense of the moment that everything changed. The moment where everything changed. What was that moment for you? Hey, friend, if this podcast hit home at all, come into the story room. Come into the story room where you and I can share our story. We can share our story together. I'd be honored to sit with you and talk over your grief story. Thank you, friend.